a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Thalia looked like she was about to hit Zoe. Then everyone froze. I heard a growl so loud I thought one of the rocket engines was starting up. Below us, a few adults screamed. A little kid's voice screeched with delight. "Kitty!" Something enormous bounded up the ramp. It was the size of a pickup truck, with silver claws and golden glimmering fur. I'd seen this monster once before. 2 years ago, I'd glimpsed it briefly from a train. Now, up close and personal, it looked even bigger. "The Nemean lion," Thalia said. "Don't move."
Welcome to Of the Eldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as our godly parent.
I'm Ray from Cabin 12.
And I'm Charlie from Cabin 13.
And I'm Zach from Cabin 9.
Woo! Hi, Zach!
How's it going, everybody? I'm here. I'm on the podcast. I'm talking about Percy Jackamson.
Perseus
Jacksonus.
Perseus Jackman.
Percy Jack Black.
Now that's a movie I would watch.
Jackius.
I would honestly listen to the Percy Jackson series read by Jack Black. That'd be a treasure.
I can't imagine nothing better. Didn't we talk about Jack Black last episode?
Yes. We were like, okay, the only person who is allowed to voice Blackjack, the Pegasus, is Jack Black.
Understandable. Yeah. Okay, good.
We just keep bringing up
really
Blackjack in every episode because he's the best.
Like the audio voice guy, whenever he does Blackjack, he talks like this.
Oh God, really?
No.
Oh my God.
Oh, like he does like the whinny, and
what?
It's really annoying.
No, I don't like it.
Why would you just not make him sound like a mobster?
Yeah.
That's literally the thing. I don't...
The audiobooks, I listen to them because I don't really read that often. I don't really have time for it.
Yeah.
It's like not how I consume that medium. But I feel like the voices that this guy does for some of the characters has literally been the only reason I've been put off by them. Like, I feel like he did a voice for Tyson last book that was really annoying.
I've heard that.
Yeah. I was reading and like mixing in the audiobook because I was trying to get through the first 2 books really quickly because we had to do an episode about both of them because, I was catching up. So I was like switching back and forth between reading and the audiobook, whatever was most convenient. And my God, I would switch over to, like, reading the book physically, and I was like, oh, this is, like, so much more charming and less annoying. I didn't, like, actively, I think he makes the story worse, and I feel bad. I don't even want to look up his name, because I'm like, I have been bashing him so much, but honestly, it does not work for me.
He is at least performative in how he delivers like the lines and stuff, which I appreciate.
It's like he's not even doing a terrible job. I just hate all the choices he makes.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
I know that when Izzy was on a few episodes ago, she was like, wow, this is like the worst audiobook. It's my anti-plug. So
he did what's the name of that horse? Mr. Ed. Like, he did a Mr. Ed impression for Blackjack. Wilbur!
Big oof.
Yeah. Our headcanon is that Blackjack talks like a mobster and that he considers Percy to be the mob boss. So...
What's that, boss? How's it going, boss?
Yeah, literally. That's the thing that
How's
it's
it
doing.
going,
It's a New York
boss?
thing. Like, that's how that's how it's written. Like, that's the accent he's doing. Or maybe I'm just making that up because that makes sense to me, but...
No, I hear it too. It's not just you.
He kind of reminds me of the talking horse from Over the Garden Wall. He's like, I want to steal stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Good shit. Oh my goodness. Well, Ray, what was this chapter about?
Well, normally we say the chapter title a few times before now, but now I get to say it.
Oh.
And Percy, he breaks a few rocket ships.
I break a few rocket ships. Me, Zach. I break a few rocket ships. That's
Oh God, Zach.
I mean, that's how
What happened?
That's how it reads. I'm sorry, I don't know how it happened either.
Why'd you do it, Zach? Why?
I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'd like to apologize to NASA. I just wanted to know if the Earth was round or flat. I'm sorry.
Understandable.
It's actually square.
Damn it. We're all wrong. You just blew this whole thing wide open.
So Percy goes back to the other museum to warn his friends about all the stuff. There's so many museums, but it's just like that there, as we have established. Everyone is pissed to see him except for Grover.
Of course.
Which is delightful.
Yeah, I love that Percy shows up and Grover's like, God, thank goodness. I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah, like he sort of expected it, but like couldn't quite hope for it.
It's like there's a scene in Bob's Burgers where Tina like is collecting all of the Valentines for like the secret Valentines, and she gets like crazy about it. She opens them all up, and Luis comes in and sees that they're all open, and she's like, "Oh my God, Tina, I'm so proud of you." And that was what Grover was like when Percy showed up to the adventure.
I was gonna say, we could rename this chapter "Everybody Hates Me But the Goat."
Everyone hates me but the goat. That's good. Dude, where's my goat?
So everybody gets over being mad at him when he tells them that they have much bigger things to worry about in general. Villain plans, whatnot.
Right.
But shoot. Talia tells Percy that he should come with them. Zoe gets pissed about that. Everyone gets interrupted by Big Cat, which I felt like was going to be connected to Big Cat from last chapter. We had Sabertooth, Tiger Teeth.
Yeah,
no,
was
absolutely not.
Was it not?
No,
when I
it's
saw
just
that,
the Nemean line. It's just also here. They just brought it.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, well, surely they aged up the kitten that was like they used some magic to age up that kitten that we saw.
Nope.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And then we have combat for most of the chapter. So imagine that there's fighting here.
Fight,
Percy rips off his cloak. Percy rips off his cloak and he's got a metal leg and a metal arm and fights this giant lion.
Perfect.
Oh my goodness.
Side tangent. Wouldn't his name be Partial Metal Alchemist? Let's just be honest, okay? The Partially Metal Alchemist.
You would think full metal seems to be like a phrase that I don't understand, and I'm just not going to worry about it.
It's because he's metal. No.
Charlie's throwing up the horns.
Guitar
for
riff.
all you listeners. Percy defeats the Nemean line with astronaut food and also by having archers on the team. Zoe becomes suddenly cool and tells Percy he should keep the lion skin. We'll get to that when we're doing like the close reading stuff, but I like her lines there. It's funny. Then there are skeleton guys, and Percy has joined the party. Yeah,
they're perfect.
That's it. That's all that happens. It's a pretty short one.
Yeah, it's honestly not a whole lot. I feel very connected to this episode because this summer when Sam of Content and Capable came to visit the Americas, only the one though. One of the things Alex and I did was we took him to DC for the day, and we sweat and we walked and we like breathed heavily in the hot sun of DC, and we went to the Natural History Museum, but we didn't get to the Air and Space Museum because it was being renovated. Yeah. So last episode,
that's unfortunate.
Last episode I'd have been like, cool, I was there, but this episode is like, nope, we didn't get to see that.
The disappointing thing is that I have lived near so many army bases, which means that I have been to so many Air and Space Museums. I've never been to DC. I haven't been to this one. I didn't even mention the rocket ships from the title in the chapter. I just realized it's a set piece. He jumps on like hanging ships during the fight scene, in case you forgot or didn't read this. Yeah, that's what happens.
I didn't. I've never read Percy Jackson before. Not once.
Oh yeah. It happens.
It's just like Night at the Museum too. It's yeah.
Fun fact.
Air and Space Museum.
Fun fact, dear listeners. If you are looking to go to the Air and Space Museum in DC, don't go to that one. Go to the one over in at Dulles Airport, which is not far from DC. At the Dulles Airport one is a gigantic warehouse. They have so many actual planes and actual rockets and actual like space stuff. They honestly way more than they could fit into one of DC.
Are they not real at the?
No, they are. It's just a lot. I mean, I feel like there are a lot more models maybe at the.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I think
But
I've
yeah,
been
the
to
one
that,
in Dulles
the other one too.
is tops.
I've been to DC a couple times, so one of which was...
Charlie be like, listen guys, I've been there ever, so
I've been
kind
there.
of an expert. Okay.
You know, like there was like the school trip, and also we went for Barbie convention. I think it was Barbie's 50th that was in DC.
I live like
incredible
45 minutes away from DC, so it literally every single like big flashy school field trip was like, let's all go to DC. It's like, all right, this is like the 8th time at this point. Like, I get it.
My entire family has been to DC. My little sister went to all the museums. My brother lives there. I have never been.
What the heck?
Yeah.
This is injustice. How dare.
Just come here and stay with us, and then
Okay.
take a bus down to DC.
Okay, this is just like what a lot of my, well, I mean, mostly just my cousin I live with is like the same age as me, and so is their girlfriend, who our parents don't know is their girlfriend, but don't worry about it. So when everyone turned 21, they went to Vegas and did not take me. I have never been to Vegas, and my entire family's been to Vegas. I cannot.
What is
I've
wrong
never
with
been to
your
Vegas
family?
either.
Why do they hate you? Why does your family hate you so much?
Thank you. I just don't know. I'm single tier. Let's read this book.
Sad piano sound effect. Okay.
Alrighty. Well,
So yeah, we begin with Percy running across the mall, which is not where you go to like shop at Hot Topic. Listen, like the mall.
no. There's a
actually
Hot Topic right next to the Air and Space Museum. Didn't you know?
God, I wish that they would just put like a pop-up Hot Topic like right in the middle of the mall so people could stop making that joke. Because I feel like every single time it's just like, no, there's no Hot Topic. Like there's no FYE. Okay, there's no
It's
food
funny
court.
to me that Hot Topics only exist in malls. I don't know why that's the thing, but it sure is.
And it's so sad because malls are
I've
dying.
even seen a Claire outside of a mall, but not Hot Topic
True.
or Spencer's, but Spencer's is like a fake place.
Fake place full of fake dog poop and fake vomit.
Oh my goodness. Well, y'all, let's get to our favorite segment on this podcast.
Oh, right. I almost forgot that we do a whole segment.
Oh yeah.
Forgot? How dare you? Well,
It's earlier than usual. I mean, it's not early. It's 9:30 where I live, which is really an awake time. But still.
What do you call? What's the segment called? Does it have a name?
in case you mythed it, but
In case you mythed it?
yes.
Yes.
That's great. That's like Bob's Burgers tier.
Andrew came up with
I like
that name forever ago.
In case you mythed it.
The drum noises are part of the name, just so you know.
Obviously.
That happens every time.
In case you mythed it. In case you mythed it. In case you mythed it. I'm just creating editing headaches for all of you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Well, we're talking about the Nemean lion today, y'all. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Percy said it showed up in the first book, and I was like, I don't really remember that. Didn't he see it outside of like a train or a bus or something?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And he was just like, oh, that's just like a golden lion out there. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Moving
so
on.
he didn't say the Nemean lion because he wouldn't necessarily have known, but
Yeah,
he saw.
he just saw a giant lion, and he's just like, okay, that's
Okay.
weird. I wonder if anybody else saw that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like mauling anyone around him, so I'm sure it's probably fine, I guess.
And I wonder who killed this lion. Any guesses from the audience? Anyone? No?
Well, we seem to be talking a lot about one particular guy recently. Is it Jason?
It's,
Oh, yeah.
I bet it's
Definitely.
Heracles.
It is. It is Heracles, in fact.
Yeah, it's him.
Do you know how I figured that out?
Why? How?
Yeah.
It's because I have the Wikipedia page that you linked me open.
Amazing. I thought it was because you like saw that one scene in the Hercules movie where he puts on like the lion skin and it's actually Scar.
Yeah, it's literally
is
Scar.
very- yeah,
I was about
yep.
to say that. You
Like-
ever think about that?
Even way back then, Disney's been like putting like shit in there. Isn't like in Finding Nemo, I'm pretty sure like Buzz or Woody are like toys in the dentist
Well,
office.
that's Pixar. Pixar
yeah.
does it like a lot more than regular Disney
Yeah, true.
does.
But Disney's been doing it ever since too.
True.
I haven't watched a video on the Pixar expanded universe thing in a long time. I wonder how they've been adding the recent movies to that.
Yeah, there's one in
getting harder.
I bet.
there's one in The Princess and the Frog, but I can't remember what it is. We'll just never know.
There's just so many little things, but
is that is that a goof? Is Scar supposed to be the Nemean lion?
you know,
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, he's not
I
from
think.
Nemea, because that's in
Well,
Greece.
sure. I just mean like
he's from Africa.
that drapery of him in the
Yeah,
painting
it's a reference to that,
the
or at
Nemean
least
lion.
to like lion imagery, because Heracles, because of the Nemean lion, is associated with lions. It's a whole
Intriguing.
thing.
Yeah. So the Nemean lion, so it does have golden fur that is impervious to attack. Wow, Rick, you did it. You got it right. Love that.
Wow. Sounds like an OP monster. CR8 at least.
Okay, we are going to talk about that. I have thoughts and opinions once we start getting through the chapter a little bit.
Goodness.
Myth of magic. What are the feats?
So
Does that mean the book? Does that mean that system is called M&M instead of D&D?
yes. Thank you. Good.
It's
need this.
myth-o-magic, so it's mom.
Oh, MOM.
MOM. There you go.
Mom's friendly role-playing game company.
That's his production company now. That's like what's making the TV show is Mytho Magic. That's what Rick named it. I love
Amazing.
Is that the name of the studio?
it. Yeah, like
Or are you
that.
goofing?
No,
that's fun.
that's serious.
No, that's really... I'm not sure if it's like the studio or just like company
I think
whatever,
it's the
but
production company or whatever that Rick named it.
I was gonna say if I had a VFX house, I would name it Myth of Magic. That would work so well.
It's such a good name. So the Nemean lion also has very sharp claws that can go through swords and armor and shit. We love that. Good
makes
shit.
sense.
I love that for you. Love that for him.
So okay. Ooh, who are the parents?
I'm seeing here that in Biblioteca, Photius wrote that the dragon Ladon was his brother, and I'm like, dragon lion brothers? Okay.
Yeah, well,
it's Greek.
That's because like Nemean lion is one of the classic monsters. Sometimes their mother is echidna, so like most of the monsters
so
are
they're
like
all brothers then.
they're like all brothers. Like Cerberus would also be his brother.
Yeah,
so.
but then why point out? Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter.
And,
Don't worry about it.
Usually Typhon is the dad too. It's okay, this is weird. The lion was raised by Hera, according to Hesiod. I guess that makes sense since she hated Heracles. She raised this lion and she's like, fuck him up, please.
This is the thing that like I think makes Percy Jackson different from Harry Potter is that like in Harry Potter the adults are supposed to care for the children and just don't give a damn, but in Percy Jackson the adults never have that preconception. It's always just like, nah, these fucking kids are on their own. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
The assumption is that the adults are the enemy.
You're right.
the
The
whole
adults are like, the adults gather all the kids in a room. They're like, all right, we'll probably lose about 30% of y'all. I'm just letting y'all know. Welcome to camp.
Okay, this is a fucking wild tradition here, where the Nemean lion was sprung from the moon goddess Selene, who threw him from the moon at Hera's request. What the hell is this? What? Who?
I'm fine with that. Whatever.
Sure. This relates to the whole moon shit that's going on here, right? Right? Because it's all Artemis.
Yeah, totally.
That's why.
That's why this line's in this book, because it's an Artemis book, even though
it's not about
Selene
Heracles. It's about Artemis. Didn't you know?
Yeah, totally.
Oh my god. So yeah, this is one of Heracles' 12 labors, set by, like, his cousin. Y'all know the story of why he did that. He murdered his family. He's gotta pay his tribute or whatever to be like, oh, it's fine that I murdered my family. Please, it's fine. That was, like, a thing in the ancient times. Like, you could be forgiven for murder, by, like, a king or a god. It's just a thing. You just had to do some shit for them.
We have that now. The president can pardon people. Maybe not for murder, but probably. I don't know, if he felt like it.
I want to say that this Wikipedia article also says the lion was, quote, sprung from the moon goddess Selene,
Yeah.
as though the moon goddess Selene were some kind of prison that he was like busting out of.
Well, that's like the same language they use when like Pegasus is born from Medusa's like neck stump. He's sprung from it. Like,
Wait,
Yeah.
but I thought that Zeus grabbed a couple of different clouds and strung them together, and boom, a baby. Is that not how it happened? Gosh.
it's like
Would
Disney.
Disney lie to us?
Disney lied, guys. It did.
Disney lie? No, never. Never.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, sprung from is the verbiage that you use when there's not a normal birth.
Basically every time. This is like a really long description of how he like killed the lion, and it involves like 30
Okay.
returning within 30 days. Okay.
And then, because you don't want to avoid the lion's warranty, right?
Yeah, it's okay. So, yeah, if he
Okay.
slews the lion,
so some guy.
yeah.
Yeah. A shepherd who lost his son. Oh, I guess there's two different versions here that are all talking about 30 days. So this paragraph's kind of
Yeah.
a whole thing. Anyways, there's a whole thing about like he goes out for the lion and they have something that they're going to sacrifice. It's either a lion or a ram.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't return, they'll sacrifice it. What? Oh my god. Some boy's gonna sacrifice himself? Okay, there's too many things happening here.
There's a lot of
There's
weird
several
shit
different
going on
sacrifices.
Like Oprah shows up and she's like, you get a sacrifice, and you get a sacrifice. Everybody
So
gets
there's either a town who, if he slays the lion, they will sacrifice a lion to Zeus, and if he doesn't come back, a boy will sacrifice himself to Zeus. Or there's a shepherd who says that if he comes back, they'll sacrifice a ram to Zeus, but if he doesn't come back, he'll sacrifice the same ram to Heracles as a morning offering. That's all.
It's
Everyone
weird.
check under
It's
your
fucking weird.
seats. You all get a sacrifice.
Don't worry about it.
Who knows what it'll be? Maybe a
Anyways.
lion, maybe a ram, maybe a child.
It's just you look under your seat. It's like, what is this ornamental dagger doing under here?
Oh my god. Yeah.
So what I wanted to know was how he actually kills it, which is interesting to me.
Oh
Take
yeah,
it away, Charlie.
it is. So he does, of course, like use his arrows to try to, kill it, but it has impenetrable fur. So that
Yeah,
ain't
I
gonna
guess he
work
didn't
bad.
know. He didn't do his research beforehand. You gotta do your research.
Hashtag problem.
He's more of a Gryffindor. He just like goes in and like fights. He doesn't really do the research beforehand. Okay, so the lion also has a cool cave. I like that. Just a good detail. So he literally just strangles it with his bare hands because
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
strong.
So the solution in the book here is get it to open its mouth, and that's its weak point, like a video game boss.
I
The
love
solution in the original myth is like in D&D, the lion is impervious to slashing and piercing damage, but not to bludgeoning.
Yeah.
So he hits it with a club to stun it, and then strangles it.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense, actually. I'm here for that.
I mean, also Heracles just has like superhuman strength given to him by like drinking Hera's milk. One of my favorite
Hercules-
details of that myth.
Hercules used his bear skin gauntlets, right? Strangle it with his bare hands, right?
Hey.
God.
Don't give me that. That was a bad joke. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it.
I always give you the bad jokes, okay? I love them.
I never will.
Rude. But then we get the whole like pelt thing. It doesn't just, disintegrate because this is mythology. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So he uses the claws to
You mean
skin
it doesn't
the
turn
lion.
automatically into a very like well-tailored duster?
No, it doesn't. God, that's like a thing I love about Percy Jackson. It's just like we're just gonna turn this thing into a wearable item, like so perfect.
Yeah.
Like
Like
Yeah. Also video game logic. Like
yeah. Treasure just
That's
works like it does in
kind
D&D.
of hilarious now that I think about it.
this should be adapted
Is that
into a
it just
video
has a
game
drop?
instead of a TV series. Come on, where's the video game? And I don't mean the shitty like movie adaptation for the DS. Not that
Oh
one.
God.
What's the
doesn't
name
exist.
was it Brianna? Who's the new one, the newcomer? Bianca. What's the name of her brother?
Nico.
Nico. And Nico over here getting the lion's fur. Be like, now I need to take a short rest so I can craft it into a jacket.
Yeah, so I love that you have to use its own claws to skin it. That is a good thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know that it came up in the book, but it mentions in here that the claws can... Oh, no, you already said that. Never mind. That it can cut through
Yes, exactly.
armor and stuff.
So of course
it's
it can
the only
cut
thing
through
that can cut itself. Just like in The Incredibles.
See,
wow.
that would have been another good way to kill it, is to, like, I don't know, use its own claws to kill it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's
like
the
the alien.
Incredibles way. So
Like the alien from Xenomorphs. Or from, like the Xenomorph from Aliens. There you go. I got it backwards.
you did it.
I got there.
So then when he returns to King Eurystheus with the lion skin, this king is scared shitless. Basically every time that Heracles returns with like one of these things that he has to bring back, this guy gets so scared shitless, he hides in a jar. Like he hides in like a big jar. Yeah, it's great. I love it so much.
Like the jar guy from from Elden Ring. They have the like jars with the legs. I wonder if there's something there.
Oh, yeah, and then after that, of course, this becomes like Heracles' symbols. We all know, like, anytime we're gonna see him in any art, he's gonna be wearing that thing. It's his whole big thing.
Percy seems to be traveling some of the same paths that Heracles did throughout this book.
Interesting.
Is this the Heracles book? Like, the first one was the Perseus one.
Okay.
The second one was the Odysseus one.
I didn't actually quite realize that was like the thing that we were doing, like that each one had a guy. That's interesting. Now that you mention it, I believe it though. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Just wait.
Okay.
I have my thoughts.
Now I'm thinking about like the last books and like what those. Anyways,
I know where your brain is going. Good.
Yeah,
good.
exciting, great, perfect. Let's move on.
I haven't read those, so my brain's not going. I'm the picture of the Patrick's brain when like the milk spills over. That's me.
Good. You'll get there, Zach, someday.
I will.
Forcibly by our podcast.
Forcibly by being asked to come on this podcast for each book, I will get through them all.
You know, that actually works perfectly. That makes a lot of sense.
It's a good time.
You just have to catch up every time.
But I do like them. I feel like if I read them as a kid, I would have really, really like glommed onto them.
Yeah, I bet that it's not quite the same, like having to catch up with them as an adult without any of that nostalgia. But at the same time, they're like not a bad read.
It's like almost like it's weird, right? Through the whole like summer camp lens, it kind of almost retroactively injects that nostalgia into your brain.
That is always good when like you can get the feeling of like childhood nostalgia even without actually having it for the specific property. It just has that in it. That's exciting to know that it does.
Or it's just like, you know, if you spent your whole childhood watching Dragon Ball Z, for example, and got really into Dragon Ball Z and loved it and stuff, and then as an adult, you're like, well, let me go back and let me watch Sailor Moon. Even though you've never seen Sailor Moon, because it has the same kind of old affectations that Dragon Ball Z does, you kind of get that nostalgia, like, contact high almost.
Totally. Like watching stuff from a very specific era that has very specific, like I'm especially thinking of like TV when I think of this or movies, just like the effects that were available, the sound quality.
Right.
Like you pick up on what stuff was filmed on, even if you don't like know that kind of thing. Your brain is like, this is familiar to me. And
filmmakers, it's their job to know all of that shit. What gives film its ideal qualities? Whenever you see like home video footage in like a period piece from like the 80s or whatever, they have to know what that footage is supposed to look like.
Yep, what that feels like, yeah.
And you can't, it's very hard to just slap over like a filter and call it a day. Sometimes they literally will just, like my brother was telling me about lo-fi, you know, people have this kind of like crackly lo-fi sound when they're doing some recordings and stuff. Jake's like, oh, what effect did you put on there to make it sound all lo-fi and stuff? And they're just like, there's no effect, I just recorded it in my car. It's like sometimes it is that simple.
I'm going like way too far off the rails. We really have to talk about Percy Jackson now. Yeah. But like the game, not Limbo, the one before that, with that little guy. What is that game called? Maybe it is Limbo. And the second one's Inside.
Yeah. So anyways, the first one's Limbo. Yeah.
Yes. In Limbo, the audio effects are recorded on like a string. Like
Oh, wow,
to get
that's
like
so
this
cool.
very specific. I read an article about it once.
That's awesome. I gotta replay that game. It's so good.
Anyways,
Y'all
let's
are
move on.
Nerds. Fucking nerds.
It was like one of
I'm
my.
sorry, Charlie.
It was one of
We're
the
gonna
first-
get more nerdy. I'm gonna talk about D&D.
That was
I
the
know
first
you are.
game that I played where I was like, oh, indie games are like actually incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a very Artur kind of game. Like,
this episode of
Yeah.
Percy Jackson, though, this episode of the Saturday morning cartoon known as Percy Jackson,
Uh,
which would have made a great, honestly, this would have made a great Saturday morning cartoon.
right?
honestly,
Yeah, my last thing about this was that one guy says that Heracles is helped by some serpent or dragon or something that followed him from Thebes. Sure,
What?
sure. And then this is later identified as this serpent that is in the Trojan War or something. This is just a weird paragraph here at the bottom, and I don't know how to parse that. That's just weird.
snake friend, snake friend, snake friend.
We love a snake friend. Snakes are good.
All right, museums.
Museums? Let's
We
talk
go to the
about
Air
the
and
mall.
Space Museum. Oh, the mall.
There are people in the mall. I'm noticing now, which isn't very good for this to happen.
It's crazy to me that so often Percy and the gang okay, so maybe the people don't see the monster in the same way or whatever, but they still see Percy jumping off of fucking rockets and like damaging property. And yet after they kill the lion, like they have time to stand around so that like Zoe can be like, hey, you earned that jacket. Like, the cops are coming, surely.
Well, they explain it, well, at least that the security guards aren't after them because Grover did a confusion spell
Okay.
by playing Barry Manilow, who I don't remember who that is.
The old
I
musician.
think he's been
some guy.
mentioned. I want to say Chiron listens to him or something. That has
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
been mentioned at least once before.
Okay, okay.
But
I'll have to listen to some Barry Manilow, I guess.
do we? Well, since we got to talk about D&D here, since y'all keep bringing it up, what are what are the I'm forgetting words. What are their classes? I mean, Grover's obviously the
Okay,
bard
okay,
here,
okay, okay.
right? Is
Yeah,
Grover
for
the
sure.
bard?
For sure, Grover's the bard.
So,
The
Talia,
horniness of the bard honestly fits right in there because Grover's a weirdo creep this book. It's so strange.
oh my god, you're so right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Grover's doing support magic. It's 100% that is that. Talia is fighter or barbarian. I'm leaning towards barbarian.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Percy-
Barbarians have a rage ability, which is a whole thing. And so she goes into rage mode and then she's more powerful. I feel like that fits for her. But she's trying to tank here, which is interesting to me because in Percy Jackson, as in real life, a real person can't actually tank because when you hit somebody very hard, then
They go
usually
down.
they die.
Yeah.
But the shield gives her some leeway to like do that sort of thing, like put attention on me, don't attack my friends. So that works for that. That makes a lot of sense. Percy is a rogue. I can defend this.
Oh.
Defend
Yes.
your allocation because I definitely don't necessarily follow.
No. Okay, Talia's the barbarian. She's tanking, but she can't take a hit. This monster is too high of a challenge rating.
Way too
their
high
party
AC.
is not supposed to be fighting it right now. And so it will one-shot her. And so Percy has to dart in, attack it, take its attention, and use the disengage bonus action in order not to be hit. And then the lion directs its next attack at him. He uses uncanny dodge and does not take the hit, even though he should have. Like, Percy is a rogue. He darts in and out of combat. He's specifically, Percy is the subcategory of rogue who does dueling. I can't remember what that's called, but where instead of getting what is it called when another member of your party is there?
Flanking?
Flanking. Instead of getting a flanking bonus, that kind of rogue only gets the bonus when they are fighting a creature by themselves
Alone.
without any of their party in the 5.
Interesting. And then
You see what I'm saying?
I was
You
about
see what I'm
I was
saying?
about to like raise a concern, and then I was like, but he also has a concealed weapon that he can pull out whenever he
See-
wants, that he can hide.
Yeah, it's a rapier. It's a dex or strength weapon.
Is it a
Like,
rapier? Is the
No, totally not.
Oh, okay.
But
I mean, my
Say,
but that's how I would make it stats.
My brain was
I don't
going
think
to
his-
like he was a fighter and then like now this is like his second class kind of deal. Like
Yeah,
like,
he's like
he has
specking
to be
into
rogue
Rogue.
now.
Fighter, rogue, dual class. Okay.
I
Because
definitely think it,
Annabeth
'cause
isn't
I was gonna
here,
say-
he has to be the rogue because Annabeth's usually the rogue.
I was gonna say Percy is a pretty milquetoast fighter, human fighter, I would think. But I think you're right, Charlie. I think this book he's definitely specking into Rogue a little bit.
Yeah, because Annabeth's not here, and somebody's got to be the rogue character. So Percy's
Yeah.
stepping in.
But Percy has always had insane dex. Like, that is his highest stat, I would argue. And so I've got to say that, like, Riptide has to be a finesse weapon. Like,
you could be right. You could be right.
it's very important
and
to me.
then I guess we just have 2 rangers.
And he also, like, you can tell that he has high dex because he's throwing stuff accurately in this chapter.
Yeah, you correct. Yeah. So the hunters are just rangers, I guess. Would that be right?
Yes. Zoe is definitely a ranger. I'm assuming that's what Bianca is. She doesn't really show up in this chapter. I don't think she has a line. Bianca?
Bianca's
she's
just
obviously there
she's
shooting the
support
lion.
for
but
Zoe. I think that's what she
Yeah.
is right now. So it's hard to have 5 people at once.
it's a lot of characters, yeah. This is why we normally stick to 3.
Exactly.
5 is like just 1, 2, like Zoe. Every time that Percy has to join, Zoe's like, "No, okay, listen, 4 is enough for a party. I don't want to have to do a bunch of NPC voices for 4 different scenarios that are happening in different parts of the tavern bar. Like, I need 4 players to be able to rein in all our roleplay. Okay." And Percy's like, "Come on, it's just
Percy's
1
like,
more."
It's a 5-man band, clearly.
Oh,
We cannot start assigning them all 5-man band
Five-man
roles. That would take too long.
well, Grover's the heart. Yeah. So I love that.
Oh god, sorry, Talia. If Percy's the main character leader, then Talia is the lancer.
Yeah, but then Zoe's like the lancer as well. Like we have 3 lancers.
Yeah.
Oops,
That's-
all lancers.
Oops, all lancers. Yep.
fine.
That's just like Castlevania.
I remember the year that COVID hit, 2020. Somebody made a goof tarot card deck that was "Oops, all towers."
Amazing.
God.
welcome to 2020. Here's your "Oops, all towers" tarot card deck.
Basically, that's what it is. So we start the chapter off, and Percy's like, "Well, I gotta go find the party," and then he immediately runs into them, literally.
Well, like, he knew where they were, but yeah,
He's like,
he conveniently, physically runs into Talia.
I gotta look for them, slams into her.
He's like got his invisibility cloak on, but he like pulls it off just as he enters the
Yeah,
enters
he
the
like
museum,
snuck
too.
into the museum. Love that.
It's just like, listen, I get that like 90% of this, like, people don't know that they're like our gods and monsters and stuff is like hand wavium. Like, we just had a fucking fight in the middle of a museum. Everybody ran and fled, and yet nobody ever is like, that's weird. Or like,
Okay.
Percy takes his cap. It's the baseball cap, right? He takes his cap off in the middle of the museum and appears, and no one's like, whoa.
No, we did address this in the first book, though, where people were like, hey, that kid is fucking crazy. Someone arrest him right now. So, like, we kind of already did that plot, so now we're just ignoring it for convenience's sake. Like...
Yeah, we can't have another manhunt for Percy Jackson. It can't happen every book, guys. Okay?
No, just the someone getting kidnapped and needing to go save them. Just that part needs to happen every book.
Every book. Every time.
Every single book.
So...
His mom, Grover, and now
Annabeth.
yeah.
Well, that's also for party mix-up, so that it's not always our big 3 main characters hanging out.
Would be funny if you started a D&D campaign and you brought in a 5th player with the knowledge that player was only going to come for 1 session so that they could then be kidnapped, and that could be the impetus for the story. Like, people would just be like, whoa, so they're gone? They have to, like, yeah, I got finals to study for. I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, I'm busy, but I just wanted to help set up plot hooks. I wanted to hang out for once.
To be included.
Oh my god. So Percy tells them what the heck's going on, and Zoe is concerned that the general is here. Like, no, he can't be here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, she doesn't even want to believe it. She's like, you're lying to me, and he's like, nope.
She's like,
He's
it's
right
not
there.
possible. You saw him on a flat panel TV display or something. You saw a cardboard cutout that somebody was shaking up and down and making talking noises from. You did not see
Illusions
the general.
Don't crack
And he's
marble
like,
floors.
bruh. He's like,
Yeah,
bruh.
he eventually has enough evidence that she has to, like, sort of start digesting that this is probably true, and then they're in the middle of a fight, so, like, you know, we don't get to talk about it more, but still.
Yeah, they sent a playmate to distract the party for now.
Yeah, they just have a lion, I guess. Don't worry about it. Rick really should not have done those kittens last chapter.
Like, hang on. Yeah, we're clearly growing people to have to try to solve this
Because for
problem.
one thing, it makes the skeleton guys make even less sense, and so it's a bad setup for that. For another thing, it makes this chapter more confusing.
Yeah.
The kittens, I know that Charlie has mentioned that they're going to come back in, like, a later series. There's going to be a kitten that is from this.
The payoff, it's going to
But
be
that's
like
just
so
him
many
using
books from
the
now.
setup. Like, I do not think that was likely planned. I'm pretty
I
sure
don't think that was
It'd be like-
planned.
that
If
he
you, like-
was just like, why did I make them those cats? I should probably tie them in so they seem less ridiculous.
It'd be like if a D&D, like if a DM was being like, there's a long dark hallway, and he's like, you hear a subtle tapping, a rapping against the floor, and you hear a whisper, a ghostly whisper, and then a dire bear body slams you. Roll for initiative.
Amazing.
Yeah,
You're
it's
just like,
also
"But what about the
surprising
ghostly
to me because I really thought that, like, the skeletons were going to be on his heels, like, as
Now,
he's doing this.
Spoilers: the skeletons, I'm sure, show up later to fight, right?
Yeah, like, at the end of the chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why they're leaving, is because they see them coming. They're walking. The skeletons are like the snail that chases you for your entire life. And if it touches you, you die. You know that post?
No.
I
It
know what you're
reminds me of
talking
It
about.
Follows.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. If you don't understand that reference, that it's like the monster in It Follows.
Yeah.
It's just always coming at you just very slowly.
God,
So
it's a terrifying thought. Better not get too comfy in your home because you'd be there for 12 years and then boom, there's a snail.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, that's some post or some, I don't know who originally was talking about it, but you see it around on, like, Tumblr especially. But it's, you get $1 million or something, but a snail is chasing you, and if it touches you, you die. Do you take the $1 million?
Yes? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, because
You have to always remember the snail, though.
Well, what I
yeah.
do is I
do I
trap
know
the
what is-
snail. I have $1 million.
I was gonna say, do I know what the snail looks like? I pick it up with a pair of tweezers and I put it in a little terrarium.
I'm
Boom.
And then it's your best friend forever.
I have somebody
Now I have a
murder
best
the
friend that-
snail.
Now I have a best friend that will kill me.
I think the
$1
snail
million.
is explicitly immortal, but
The snail. So there are these creatures called cone snails that live in the ocean. That if they bite you, you literally will live seconds. Like there was a guy who got bitten by cone snails on the beach, and he was running to the lifeguard thing to let them know, and didn't even get there. Was like dead before he got there.
I hate the ocean sometimes.
Yep.
We
There's
are
a reason
so off
why
track.
all Cthulian nightmares are based on sea creatures.
Oh my goodness. So Percy Jackson.
All right.
Son of the sea god.
Yeah, son of the sea
I'm the
god.
one who's always like, we need shorter episodes, and then I'm like, let's talk about snails.
It all ties back.
Yeah, sure. I love this little kid yelling kitty at the lion.
Kitty!
It's Boo. It's actually Boo.
Yeah, like, before it starts attacking people, clearly the mist is like, okay, cat, and this child is like, excellent.
Do
Me.
you think that the lion just appears as like a house cat?
Maybe at first, and then it changes to something else once it starts attacking people.
You'd
It's
think
like,
that it
oh,
would
shit.
be
Okay, we gotta compensate for this.
like it lands on one of the little kitten like lands on one of the rockets, and the rocket like lurches down, and just whoa, how heavy is this little fucking cat?
I'd like to imagine that, actually. You know what? I want like a whole Percy Jackson series, but like from the Mist perspective. Like I want to see
just
all of the things, but like how the Mist makes you see them and not actually what's happening.
just an entire rewrite of the Percy Jackson series, except every scene is from a different outsider point of view.
Yeah.
A bunch of kids ransack the Arch for some reason. Like, that would actually make a really good fan fiction, is just going set piece by set piece and picking a perspective that is one of the people involved.
That'd be so
I would
good.
read that.
I need it. Rick, make a spin-off TV show.
It's like the those new Twilight books, but like way less like useful. Way less useful.
Instead of Edward's perspective, it's just like that random kid who said kitty.
It's just Carla, the girl on her Nintendo Switch, sitting in the lobby.
Okay, if I was writing this fanfiction, one of the random outsider characters would be Trace Nevere from The Good Tequila.
Wait, yes!
He's just like there.
They might be in the same...
Rick Riordan wrote a very Texan book once. That's all you really need to know about that.
If listeners want to hear us talk about it, it'll be on our Patreon.
You could join our Patreon.
Oh my god. Yeah, so of course, Zoe and Bianca are trying to shoot it with arrows. Grover, where does Grover go? Oh yeah, he tries to, distract it, and then, not working so great.
I wish I knew more D&D spells. I'm bad at, like, remembering names of things. But there's definitely, like, maybe I don't actually know. I haven't ever played a bard. But I'll bet you there's a bardic spell that's like, look at me. And then it, like, has the creature attack you the next turn.
It's like hideous mockery or something mockery.
Vicious mockery?
Vicious mockery is
thank
an
you.
attack.
Yeah, vicious mockery
I'm pretty
will,
sure.
and it will draw focus.
Oh, it draws attention.
I believe so.
Good shit. That's what he's trying.
He's totally using his cantrips.
Or, if you have a good DM, they're like, okay, well, obviously that would draw the monster's attention.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then they're fighting. Nobody's having any effect. Like, sparks fly when Percy, like, swings his sword at the lion. It's not happening.
Which I love. Hey, Greek. If the lion is metal and it's gold's like weak as fuck. So I don't think your mythology is very accurate. I don't think that the lion was actually supposed to be metal, but it makes a lot of sense that Rick wrote it that way. I like it.
It's gold because gold
would,
is pretty. That's why.
Gold would dent very quickly. And this is completely unrealistic. Jumping off of like suspended rockets with a sword, fine. Metal lion, no way. Can't be done.
I bet the claws are platinum though, so that's fine.
I wonder if this is an interesting mechanical question. I wonder if you actually built like a giant clockwork lion of that size completely out of gold, if it would just collapse under its own weight.
I think I would think it would function all right, but it couldn't get too hot. Because you would need. Well, I guess
breathe on gold and you can bend it.
It couldn't be steam powered.
No.
It would have
No
to be some kind of
steam-powered
pendulum
lion,
motion, so you
only
wouldn't
steam-powered
produce any
giraffe.
heat.
No, you have to crank it before the combat, and it has like 5 minutes before it like powers down.
God, that would. I just want to play role-playing games and make fun little things. I need to stop thinking about this.
I'm pretty sure the big bad
while
for
I was reading this, I was like, literally, Percy is a rogue.
Yeah.
And that's like my whole thing right now.
I'm pretty sure the big bad for my next campaign is going to be like a dark artificer, and he's just going to make lots of like clockwork monsters.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Please make a clockwork Nemean lion type thing. I will be so happy.
I will, just for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We're all such nerds today.
We're all channeling.
Joke's on you, Charlie. We're always nerds.
We're all channeling again the boy's name. I forget.
Oh, Nico.
Nico. We're all
We
channeling
are
Nico this
Nico.
episode.
It's just 3 Nikos talking about Percy Jackson.
Just sitting here rolling dice, ruining my audio quality.
So, like, they're jumping around on the rockets and on, like, this little planet Earth thing, and...
I was confused by the planet Earth thing, because I thought Percy, like, fell off of it, because he said he slid down Russia and off the equator, but then he seemed to be, like, still on it, and I was like, if it's a globe, then you can't.
Yeah.
Then you fell off, son.
Unless
So
you
I don't know what's
lodged
happening
your
there.
papermate sword into it.
I don't know. I don't know where Percy is. This is... the positions. It's hard.
Well, he was definitely on the ground later. Maybe he wasn't on it, and I just got confused by some of the writing. I'm bad at keeping track of action scenes, but...
Yeah, I don't know. It depends which way the Earth is, like, tilted. Is it tilted on the axis? So, like, if you slide down the equator, you might still be...
Well, no. When the lion jumps down, he says it lands on the North Pole, like, on the top. And so I was like...
I don't know.
Because I was thinking, like, maybe the planet's oriented some other way, but no.
I don't
Plus,
know.
if you were
The North Pole is on the top.
If you were displaying Earth in a museum, you wouldn't, like, hang it sideways and then be like, that's good, we're good.
Also, this globe is...
But the axis is tilted, so you could it could be a little bit off, but at the same time, if you go past the equator, you're gone.
Right.
Like...
It's been a while since I've been to this museum, but, like, this is a very big globe because the lion and Thalia are both on top of it, I think. At the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so... But Percy has figured out that the mouth is going to be the weak spot here, and he's like, Grover, get the people out of here. Like, clear the area. We got a plan now. We're gonna figure this out.
It's very interesting to me that the entire chapter, like, during this entire fight, Percy is 100% leading the party, and, like, no one is necessarily, like, upset about that. Like, I even feel like Rick almost gives Percy, like, too much to do.
He's the
like,
perspective. He has to be the one figuring all this shit out. Like...
Yeah, but, like, I think it would have been another strong choice if, like, the hunters were just, like, totally capable and, like kind of sort of showed him up a little, and he could have just been like, whoa, I need to kind of, like, check my ego a little bit here.
But they already showed him up during Capture the Flag, so maybe we're trying to, like, compensate. But... What bothers me specifically, I'm skipping ahead again. We are not doing this very well in order, but oh well. Percy goes and gets astronaut ice cream. It's freeze-dried and it tastes terrible. And so he tosses that in the lion's mouth. And I'm like, if he can do that, they can't shoot it? Really? Like, he's several times is nailing it directly in the mouth, and they couldn't get an arrow in there? Are you sure, Rick?
Yeah.
Like...
I don't know.
Rick Riordan.
I think they were far too far away.
When I was reading as a kid, all of that followed perfectly fine. But now I'm like...
I assumed that the hunters are far
went
away, and Percy's, like, closer to it, and that's why, like the timing is just off.
Yeah, he's, like, engaged in combat more, and they are, like, at a range, and not necessarily at the best angle, and so he's trying to, like, maneuver it into the right space so that its mouth will be open where they can shoot it, because it is mentioned that the lion, like, knows that's its weak spot, and it's not opening its mouth, like, a lot.
Yeah, but
Rick Riordan
if that's the case, then how is he getting the ice cream in there?
Rick Riordan went to the Air and Space Museum and got some astronaut ice cream and, like, thought it was the grossest thing ever, so he went to his fucking typewriter and was like, I'll fucking show them.
What I'm betting is that his kid thought it was fucking gross, and so he's like, kids will relate to this, it'll be funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, probably, yeah. I never had astronaut ice cream, but I bet anyone who did is like, haha.
My mom loves astronaut ice cream, so
like... Oh, yeah?
I'll tell you, I love Dippin' Dots. I know it's not the same thing, but they always call it the ice cream of the future, back when, you know, in the late 90s when it was invented.
See, I'm currently mad at Dippin' Dots because, like, the local movie theater, it went from Ben & Jerry's to Dippin' Dots, and I'm like,
oh,
bro,
no.
That's such a downgrade. I'm so mad.
It is a downgrade.
I love Ben & Jerry's.
Like, Dippin' Dots is a fun novelty, but not at your local movie theater. No.
Yeah, it's not cool. But yeah, I'm just assuming that the hunters are, like, more, like, they have to be farther away. They're not close combat type, so that's why, like, there's just, like, so much timing off going on here. And that's why Percy's more engaged here. So, yeah.
Everyone in this party is dex-based, except for Talia, who is the only strength-based character.
Correct. Also the fact that Percy just, like, throws Riptide like a throwing knife. That's just such a fun line. Like, just, like...
Yeah.
Just toss it. So he's tossing a bunch of things. He's tossing the ice cream and like freeze dried spaghetti into this lion's mouth. It's so wild.
Yeah, he's just like
I've
tossing
never
stuff,
had-
and like the lion just happens to be like taking it all. And it's like Patrick when he gets like all the snowballs shot at his mouth. He's like,
I've never had astronaut food, but I have had MREs, which I bet are similar. Meals ready to eat. It's a military thing.
But it's like even astronaut food, like. It's not freeze-dried, though. It's, like, perfectly edible food that just happens to come in, like, sealed packets.
MREs are, like, fine. Like, it's, like, the textures are weird. Like, the flavor is not, like, good, but it's, like, fine. It's filling. It has the calories that you need, and they season them. They're fine.
In the ISS, they always used to joke that, like the working on the International Space Station is great because, like, you want Chinese food for dinner, you head on down to the China module, you get some of their their meals. You want some stroganoff, you head over to the Russian module. You know,
like Disney's Epcot.
Yeah.
It's good shit. Also, just, like, in the background, Grover is playing another horrible song in his pipes, and Percy's like, people were screaming. Just the association
Grover's
there.
just over there singing "Call Me Maybe" by Carly Rae Jepsen, simping over the
And
hunters.
here's Wonderwall.
Charlie, I'm at the point where I legitimately want to do, like, a bonus episode where we are just, like, actually assigning, like, everyone all their stats and classes and stuff, like, giving everyone their subclasses. Like, I want that so badly.
I'll come back on for that one. Sure.
We can make this a bonus episode. One of the other Percy Jackson pods I listen to has done that, actually, as well. And I think...
we'll do it better.
Will we?
It would be fun.
Will we?
It would be fun to like roll up the actual characters themselves and then like take them on and go through the first book and just see how things pan out differently.
Oh, that would be so fun!
Literally,
Oh
like,
my
what
God,
happens
just
if-
like using it as your campaign book.
Yeah, what happens if like chapter 3, the Percy character just dies? You're just like, oh, well, now we're off the rails. Where are we going to go from here?
I think we just need to do a Percy Jackson campaign now. We make our characters, we each pick one, and then we do a Percy Jackson campaign.
Why do I keep doing this? Zach, I have a Barbie podcast, and every time we do a Fairytopia episode, I'm like, okay, here's how this is a D&D campaign.
Well, see, I do that with movies constantly now. Alex and I were watching Rings of Power. Are you both? Do you watch?
I've
do
seen
you
the
watch Rings
first
of
2
Power?
episodes.
I've not seen any of it.
So, I'll just say, without giving much away, that Galadriel ends up on this island country called Numenor, and there's this moment where I pause to Alex, and I'm like, this is like in a D&D campaign when someone thinks that they're going to just stop into an island before they get to the mainland for the actual quest, and they get to the island and they go, oh, this is the whole quest. Oh, I see. This is the whole campaign. Got it. Well, we watched Sinbad last night, and the whole time I'm watching that movie, Sinbad, I'm like, this is a D&D campaign.
Wait,
100%.
what Sinbad movie?
It's a DreamWorks movie, Sinbad.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas,
Correct.
absolutely a D&D campaign.
Yes, it is.
100%. I have the same thought.
Yeah.
Like, they are literally just having encounters.
El Dorado, a D&D campaign. Come on.
Yeah,
Let's go.
yeah. Thanks, DreamWorks.
DreamWorks plays
All
D&D.
movies with very attractive characters, very quote fuckable characters, and also a D&D campaign. Let's go.
The fun thing about Sinbad is that Eris is kind of playing the DM with her little constellation creatures with, you know.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Eris is definitely the spiteful DM.
Eventually, we're gonna cover that on the bonus show. So
Oh,
Yes, good.
gonna
It's my
happen.
favorite fucking movie.
They end up in Tartarus. I think it's a different Tartarus, but it's still Tartarus.
you know, it's enough Greek stuff for me. It works. Oh, so I love this. They finally do it. They finally kill the freaking lion with the arrow through its mouth. And Zoe's like, that was an interesting strategy. It's like,
During the fight, she was like, "This is no time for souvenirs, boy." And then by the end, she's like, "Nice."
she's like, I can't compliment him, but like, it worked.
Yeah.
I'm angry about it.
Well, she seems legitimately amused, which I like. By the end of this chapter, I'm like, "Oh, Zoe."
Yeah. Zoe gets to be a little bit of a human being, like just a touch. You're just like, oh.
And like even just that touch, I'm like, oh yeah, I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she tells Percy to take the lion's fur, the spoil of war, instead, because it was his idea of how to kill it.
It's very nice of the Greek monsters to be like, the whole skinning thing is like really inconvenient. We're cycling through the underworld a lot. Let's just make this whole thing easier for everybody. I'll just leave you a coat.
Well, like,
or maybe like after Heracles made the coat the first time, it's like now the coat also exists as like a cyclical item of like.
I mean,
it's like, guys, we listen. These like over in Nemea, they're like, guys, we can't keep breeding these lions. Okay, I don't know what happened in the breeding process, but when you kill them, they turn into jackets. I don't know how or why. But
I love
this has gone too far. Selective breeding has gone too far.
Okay, but now that I'm thinking about it, like, the bullshit that I was saying almost makes sense, where it's like the jacket, the skin itself has enough mythological clout as a symbol of Heracles that, like, it also just kind of exists, but it and the lion can't exist at the same time.
Yeah, makes sense.
True.
So, yeah, it turns into a golden brown duster, and Percy's gonna wear that now. It's not his style, but, like, I don't know. I know it's not quite the...
I kind of love it. I think, we did our Percy episode, and I was like, why is the lion coat a duster? That's lame. It kind of slaps.
I know it's not quite the same jacket, but I imagine it being just the jacket the 10th Doctor wears, and like Percy's just like walking around like that now. Like he wears Converse, you know it. Like it's the same.
Can you imagine if he's like, yeah, the lion hide turned into a trench coat and a fedora, and I was like, nah, fam, I'm good. I don't need to be seen in that.
See, I think it would be funnier if it turned into like what are those, like the hats, like a lion hat, but with like the little things coming down. What are...
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The kind of like what Luis wears with the rabbit ears.
Oh yeah, the ears down the side of the...
Yes, like that's what I imagine it should turn into in modern times, personally.
Like, there's this really great D&D meme, like, that shows, like, oh, the way that you imagine your character, and they're all, like, decked out in cool swag and stuff, and, like, it's, like, the way that you actually build your character, and you have just the most dorky shit on because it provides you just that little bit of a bonus.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say that this isn't a spoiler, it's just an observation because I don't remember, so it can't be a spoiler. But I haven't read these books in a while. Anyways, the reason it's a duster is because that's a very long coat and he needs more coverage. It's a piece of armor.
I mean, yeah, it is.
That's why Rick made it that way.
Makes sense.
I understand why it is, but I'm just like, it'd be funnier, and it would also make more sense for me, modern-wise, for it to just be a little lion hat. Because, like, that's what it looks like Heracles is wearing, and, like, it looks like he's wearing a lion hat with a cape attached to it in all those old drawings, so I'm like... that's what it would be. Yeah, so...
I was gonna say, Zoe reminds me of, like, Pearl from Steven Universe, where, like, Pearl's like nostalgia for the suburbs. They've only been around, 90 years or so? Zoe is like, I remember when they invented cars. And then there's that goofy line where Percy's like, she can't possibly be that old. Like, back when cars were being invented, people were still, like, running away from dinosaurs and stuff. And I was like, oh, come on, Percy. Come on, Percy.
Yeah, that was great. Percy's a goof.
They'll say that about the internet soon. Hey, you were around for the invention of the internet? And I'll be like, yeah, I was. And they're like, were there cars that, like, do people fly around in airplanes back then?
Sometimes when like Gen Z people talk about cassettes, even I feel like that, and I'm like, God, please don't.
I remember having a car that I needed. It was like there used to be cars that had the cassette player. You could plug in the cassette that had the cord on it that you could plug into your MP3 player or your CD player or whatever.
That was my first car.
And then they made cars with just a CD player, and then after that there was a small window with CDs, and then the MP3 player was like everywhere, and it was like, great, so these old cars I can plug my MP3 player into, but these new ones with the CD I can't. What's wrong with this picture?
I finally have a car now with a CD player. This is the third car.
Oh my God.
And I finally have
Amazing.
a CD player. So
Amazing.
my first car was like the same age as me, and they've slowly
Alex's car's
gotten
radio
younger.
hasn't worked. Alex's car's radio hasn't worked in like 5 years.
Oh no.
Oh no.
We just put her phone on Amazon Music and just put it in like the cup holder.
I have a little thing that like it sets it to a radio station, and like it
Yep.
that's how my phone Bluetooth connects. So
I've used one of those before.
yeah. Well, that's, I mean, they leave the museum and they're being followed by the zombie skeletal guys. We're not sure what
The
they are
snails that
still. They're
We'll
gray
kill
men.
you when they catch you. Gray men.
They're the gray, like the aliens, except they're not aliens.
Yeah. So
Oh, yes, I really liked the very last scene, because
too.
Percy says, go, they'll be hunting me, I'll distract them, which is a very Percy move. Self-sacrificial idiot.
Love him.
I will give him a little hug. But, Zoe says, no, we go together. Specifically Zoe. Love that. She doesn't want him on the quest, but she accepts that he is part of it.
He's
Yeah.
the fifth member. He's
It's
part
a
of the
gross
He's the fifth
moment
quest
for her.
member, and we are not leaving anyone behind. Like, Zoe has a good showing at the end of this chapter.
yeah, she grows. She's a grower, not a shower. What I want to know, and this is maybe cutting back a chapter, but like, how are some of these dinosaur teeth, dragon teeth? Like, did the dinosaur die and then the dragon came over to it and like pulled out its tooth and like put it right next to the mouth and like hee like now one of my dragon teeth is going to be mixed in.
I don't think that they're teeth attached to a T-Rex. They're just like teeth that they had around. That they're
Okay.
like, these are T-Rex teeth, is what I'm assuming.
they're
and sometimes archaeologists are
They're
wrong. Like,
incorrectly
it happens.
identified. Like, they're like, this is a T-Rex. It's like, no, guys, that's a dragon. You got it
Yeah.
wrong.
But they don't know that. They don't know what a dragon skeleton looks like, so they can't properly identify them.
They're like
It
all of
happens.
these like wing-shaped bones on the like other side of the quarry, and they're just like, nah, those are a different
Not
skeleton.
all
They have to be,
dragons
you know.
have wings, Zach.
Hashtag not all dragons.
I do kind of like that idea, though, that they have all the bones of a dragon. They just haven't figured out that they go together. It's like when you show somebody a platypus and they're like, surely not. Like the first time that they saw a platypus,
Yeah.
in England or what the fuck ever, they're like, you made that up.
What-
That's
what
fake.
is happening
this
here?
is fake taxidermy.
I was at a castle once that had this like banister piece that was this really like ugly, weird looking, almost like a pine cone, but like stranger than a pine cone. And I come to find out that it was meant to be a pineapple. And when they made this little banister, it was just because some visiting traveler had visited the castle and like showed his crude sketch of a pineapple, and nobody there had seen a pineapple before, so they were just like, well, that must be what they look like. Make me a banister.
I love medieval art of like animal descriptions. They are so fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like you asked like an AI to make a pineapple or whatever. Like it just doesn't know, so it tries. Of course, nowadays that shit is perfect. It's coming for my job.
Oh no, Zach is gonna be replaced by computers. Oh no! No more artists ever again.
Never again.
Well, that's the
Now you-
chapter,
Dystopia is
y'all.
real.
Yeah,
Woo! It's a good thing this was a short one, because we sure talked a lot of bullshit.
we sure
but,
did.
But that's what guest episodes are for.
Finding random tangents are like, I feel like random tangents are like the bread and butter of my podcast too. Is what we're like our podcast when we're like, oh, we've been talking about the New York Jets for the past 30 minutes. Why?
And Zach,
Some of those are like some of the best conversations.
what is your podcast? Where can the people find you?
Oh, I have a podcast. Yeah, well, there's a podcast that I run with my lovely partner, Alex. It's called My Cabbages, an Avatar podcast. If you didn't know, it's a podcast about Avatar. it's because
Really?
in the title is an Avatar
That's
podcast.
Really?
a pretty good
I thought
show.
it was about D&D.
Yeah. No, it's about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and also mostly about D&D. But
Have you guys made character sheets for all the Avatar characters?
We have not.
You
It's something
need
we ought to
to.
do for like a bonus episode for sure.
You
We've
guys
definitely
are-
classified them all. Like Aang is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
monk. I think
duh.
Katara.
Clearly. That's just canon.
I think Katara is a sorcerer. Is what we put her as. Sokka's
That
definitely.
makes sense to me because she does like some accidental like.
I feel like Sokka's a ranger.
Yeah, also makes sense to me.
I think like between like seasons and stuff, that's what you need to do is like have all that
Yeah.
stuff between like the Korra or like the comic book shit. That's what you need to do. Is a bunch of D&D things.
Yeah, so it's anywhere you catch podcasts. You can get that with any of the other Deus Ex Media podcasts and stuff. Sure, there'll be a trailer for it probably at the end of this video or the end of this episode.
Oh yeah, of course there will be.
And if there isn't one, then just cut that out of my my conversation.
Where can people find you, Zach? What do you
You would never
I-
advertise your podcast, Zach.
I am on social media as well. You can find me at Cybertoaster on Twitter. I believe I am at Cybertoaster on Instagram as well. I post art there, but not nearly enough. And we are also on My Cabbages at CabbageCast on Twitter and at My CabbageCast on Instagram because somebody took at CabbageCast, probably me, and then forgot the password, and then it deleted, and it still can't use the
I love when that
username.
happens. We all
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, I love it. I love it so fucking much. No, and then we're if you want to email us, we're at mycabbage mycabbagecast@gmail.com.
Oh my god, it's so many ads.
There's so many ads.
Well,
Let's do media.
yeah, you got
Plugs,
any media
plugs,
for
plugs.
us? Do you plug what you been watching, reading, listening to, all that good shit?
If you guys need a moment, I've got
Go
something.
ahead.
I'm thinking.
There's a guy named Tom Cardy. He's a comedic musician, a musical comedian, one of those things. He uploads on TikTok and YouTube. What I enjoy about his work, his oeuvre, is that he will start with something either relatable or like very specific, like obviously something that like happened to him, and then he will spin it to like the furthest, like most ridiculous thing he possibly can. It's like I think the most like recent like full song he did is just about like some lady being like thinking that you work at the store and you being like, hey, I don't work here, you're being rude to me. And then by the end of the song, he's like talking to aliens who would like to invade the planet, and they're like, give us your planet, and he's like, I don't work here. It's very funny.
That sounds great.
Also, his music slaps. Like, that's why I even, like, hesitate to call him a comedian. Like, all of the songs, like, go so hard.
Good shit.
So, Tom Cardy, Cardy.
Good shit.
Always looking for comedians that aren't like toxic and canceled. So
Yep.
sounds good.
My plug is gonna be Miss Marvel, because I did watch all of that semi-recently, and I loved it. It was so good, so cute. I love
That's great.
Good, excellent.
I don't know. I just love the fact that like they made her a proper fangirl, and like that's the culture. It's like the culture of someone who's watching the MCU, but like they are part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Like I loved it. Very good. The aesthetic was great.
It's literally
that kind of thing, I'm always like hesitant because it can be hold for bad, not good word, cringe, quote unquote. Like when people do like fandom stuff and they aren't like a big part of the culture and they don't quite get it right.
Yeah.
But you know, when it's well done, like our friend's podcast, what is that show called? Charlie, what's that show Mina was on?
Oh.
What's that show Juice was on?
Me and AU?
Me and AU,
Like,
yes.
it took me a second to realize what you're talking about.
When it's done by fandom people who like get it, it's nice. So I'm glad that you had a good time with it. That bodes well.
Yeah.
There's an episode of like the name Supernatural where they go to a
Oh yes.
there's like that author that steals all their stories and like they have a convention, so they stumble into this convention that's like about their adventures. It's basically just a supernatural convention.
Supernatural got so wild. I mean, not that I've actually watched Supernatural beyond the first season, but
I haven't seen the vast majority of Supernatural, but I have seen some of it.
My last non-spoiler thought is that just like the aesthetic of Miss Marvel also has a Mitchells versus the Machines vibe. If like
Oh, okay, I can see
like,
it.
like
see
live
it.
action, like I don't know. It just just gave me that. So
I'm
Very
gonna pitch
interesting.
Mitchell's versus. No, I'm kidding. That was a different movie.
it's a good
So
movie.
It is a very good movie. Like, no, Mitchell's vs. Machines, bonus pitch. Go watch it. It's great. I am obsessed currently with a Tollywood film called RRR that I watched on Netflix. I have never watched an entire like Indian film from start to finish. And I feel like a lot of people like me have stumbled onto RRR on Netflix and be like, oh, what's this? This looks kind of out there and crazy. And then 3 hours later, they come out of the movie and they're like, my whole world has changed. I have to go watch every Bollywood and Tollywood flick I can find to catch up on all the things that I've missed. It's like Squidward after he eats the Krabby Patty and he's like, all the wasted years. RRR, Rise, Roar, Revolt is a film on Netflix about these two like sort of revolutionary figures in the like early 1900s who never actually met, but the movie is a very fictional depiction of like the premise of what if they were like total bros. What if they met and were like super cool total bros and also did crazy epic like superhero nonsense shit? Like Beam at one point like fights a tiger with his bare hands so that he can like sedate it and then use it to attack the British later. And like Raju gets like who's also probably the sexiest man alive, I'm not gonna lie. Like has this whole scene where he jumps into this crowd of like thousands of people to arrest one guy. Like there's just so many like cool epic moments in this movie, and it's got twists and turns, and it's got friendship and camaraderie, and honestly some of the most like wholesome like hetero bromance I've ever seen in a film, and it was like super healthy in a way that I just like you just don't see like sort of men being tender to each other in this way, and I need more of it. I need more of it. It's a great movie. Go watch it. RRR. Yes, it's 3 hours long. It's paced very, very well, though, and it doesn't feel long at all.
So, what I love about that specifically, having not seen it, in the context of this show that we are doing right now, is that feels like that's how mythology, like, comes about. Is somebody's like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, they hung out and were, like, best friends and did, like, cool, incredible feats?
Yeah.
See, every time you say
there's
RRR,
supposedly like a...
I just think of that's Rick's initials. Richard Russell Riordan. That's his name.
Oh my god, it's all connected.
And he's also a junior. Richard Russell Riordan Jr. That's his full name.
So RRR Jr. is like the kid version of RRR.
Oh, well, my friends, my loved ones here.
My camp mates.
Yeah, my probably technically relatives, even
We're
though
all
we're not going to
cousins.
acknowledge that.
Remember when Luke called them cousins in Sea of Monsters? I hated that.
God, I wish he wouldn't.
I really hated it, but it's fine.
Who, Annabeth and Percy, or...
Yes, he said it to Annabeth and Percy, and it's like, don't love that. Let's
don't
not.
love that.
Nope. Well, get out of my fucking cabin. I'm gonna go put on this golden duster and like walk off into the sunset.
Fine, I'll leave. Go to my hot and sweaty forge cabin.
I'm gonna fight you for your sweet ass coat.
Oh, well,
I'm just gonna go forge a metal coat with my forge that's in my cabin.
You do
well,
that.
I mean, that
Ray,
works.
You're gonna have to fight the zombies
can I have one?
that are like coming
No.
after me. So for the coat.
Percy probably needs the coat now that I'm thinking about it. The zombies do have his smell. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he really does need the coat.
It's a good thing he got that.
Oh, Get the fuck out of here, y'all.
Bye.
Bye! You can find this podcast socials at Of the Eldest Gods Pod on Instagram and at Of the Eldest Gods on Twitter. You can send an iris message to us through oftheeldestgodspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us financially, join us at patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. By becoming a patron, you can join the Deus Ex Media Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with us and other listeners about episodes and anything Percy Jackson related. Our $5 Patreon tier also gets you access to Against All Odds, our monthly bonus show. There we'll talk about a wide variety of topics, which usually have something to do with mythology. No promises. You can check out our merch store on TeePublic to find custom designs made by Charlie. Or, if you cannot or do not want to support us financially, we'd really appreciate a rating, a review, or letting your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. You can find me, Ray, at HeyHeyRay, spelled R-A-Y-E, on Twitter. If you want to hear more from me, check out Barbie Movie Slap, a podcast where my co-host Ted and I discuss Barbie's cinematic universe.
You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms, but on Twitter, I'm at GreenPixie123, which I'm totally not salty about. I also have an art Instagram that I sometimes use at GreenPixieDraws. I sometimes do the YouTube thing on my channel, Charlie Mack, that's M-A-C-K, and I also have another podcast on the network called Fandoms Gone Wrong, where my mom and I talk about movies, TV shows, books, whatever other fandoms we enjoy. You can find that on all the major podcasting apps. Our music was written by Isabel Strauss-Riggs and recorded and edited by Ian M. Riggs. You can find Izzy at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. She also currently makes video essays on the YouTube channel Kane I. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast. Of the Eldest Gods is proud to be a part of Deus Ex Media, which features great podcasts like My Cabbages, an Avatar podcast that follows the true hero of the Avatar The Last Airbender series, the Cabbage Cart Guy.
Coffee, tea, honor, cabbage. Long ago, the four elements lived in harmony. Then, shit went totally cray when the Avatar attacked. Only the Cabbage Man, merchant of fine cruciferous vegetables, could stand against his trolling. But when the world needed some dank veg, he vanished. 10 years have passed, and my partner and I have started a new podcast.
My Cabbages! An Avatar podcast.
A weekly show about Avatar The Last Airbender. Whether it's Sokka's new line of cologne...
Hey, look at you, sitting there on a seal. Well, now look back at me. I'm on an even bigger seal. Now look away.
D&D related antics.
You have to make an acrobatics check for that, and Aang just like unzips his pants and whips out his d20s. He's just like, I got this.
Or randomly breaking into song.
Go bending waterfall.
We'll stumble our way through the greatest show ever made, one episode at a time.
You can reach us at CabbageCast, which is our Twitter, or
Subscribe wherever you catch pod.
Rotten cabbages? What kind of slum do you think this is?
Of the Eldest Gods is based on the series by Rick Riordan. Right now we are discussing Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Remember to follow us on your favorite podcatcher and meet us back here every Thursday. I need my phone.
Does it have to do with rocket ships?
Sadly, it does not. I don't think there are rocket ships.
I
mythology.
want there to be ancient Greek rocket ships, though, is the thing. I think that would be cooler
I think
if it was a myth about rocket ships.
We got the chariot, Apollo's chariot, and I think that's the closest thing. Because, like, you know...
Yeah.
There was some, like, Chinese king at some point in history who strapped a bunch of fireworks to a chair because he wanted to go to space and, like, legitimately blew himself up. I don't...
It's beautiful, actually. actually. It's
Was
amazing.
Kung Fu Panda referencing that?
I have no idea.
Oh my god, it must have been.
Oh my god! Every time I learn something new about Kung Fu Panda, I'm like, fuck, that's the best movie ever made.
Presenting on YouTube my Kung Fu Panda iceberg. So we start at the top here.
We've mentioned Kung Fu Panda a non-zero amount of times on this podcast, I think.
Really incredible.
Welcome to the Kung Fu Panda podcast, where we go 10 minutes of movie per episode.
I watched that movie.
I would love that.
At least once or twice.
Dave X Media.